friends, it's Tracy and Violet. There she is. Yes, from Tea Time with Tracy and Violet. And I just thought I'd start another reading vlog with you. I'm hoping you guys like reading vlogs. It's just the mode I'm in right now. Okay, Violet. All right. I just got done reading Nick Cutter's The Troop and loved it. I really just finished it an hour ago, but I'm trying to decide on what to start next because I have quite a selection of books to pick from. And I thought, I have 3 little books. I'm going to try to knock these right off if I can. The first one is by Susan Hill, The Woman in Black. I've heard people talk about this. I think it's about, I didn't read the back of it, but I think it's about somebody passes away and a lawyer or somebody comes and has to stay at this house to get everything sorted, and he keeps seeing a woman in black. Something like that. So, yeah, I bought this secondhand. I can see some marks in it, but I'm just wondering when this was first published. Copyright 1983. Does that sound about right? First published in Great Britain, 1983. Yeah, so The Woman in Black. The next one is Elizabeth. So I think this has to do with the mirror. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I can't remember. She patiently looking neither at yourself or nor in a glass. That's what you do when you scry. Yeah, if you have a mirror or something shiny surface. I have a black obsidian mirror, but anyways, you might notice that an image is not yours, but that of an exceptional person who lived at some other time. Yeah, so I guess it's something about a haunted mirror of some sort. I don't really know. By Ken Greenhall. I think this is an older book too. I thought I'd squish all of these books into this video. 1976. A year before I was born, this book came out. I was born in 77. So, yeah, that one. And then I just got this in the mail, Inheriting Her Ghosts. I guess this is about a niece that inherits a seaside manor from her estranged great aunt. She doesn't really know. She inherits this beautiful place. Turns out it's more than just inheriting a house. Inheriting her ghosts. So that's all I know about it. That's really all I know about it. So I'm kind of going into these blind, and I want to do that. None of them are very long. Elizabeth is let me just see here. 152 pages. 160 pages. 146 pages. So add those all up together. That'll be a good size book. Only they're going to be 3 separate stories. So I don't know which one I'm going to start with first, but I will fill you in. And yeah, let's get reading. All right, friends. Well, it's 17 minutes after 11. I just finished Inheriting Her Ghosts. Yeah, it's 146 or 56 pages. Anyways, I read that this evening. I started it after supper. And yeah, I'm glad I did. I don't know what one I'm going to start tomorrow. But this one, I'm going to go to bed here shortly. But I'm just trying to get... I forget if I read the back of this. Inheritance often comes with strings attached, but rarely are they as tangible as those hanging over high hearth. When Eudora Fellows learns she's the sole heir of her estranged great-aunt's seaside manor, she believes it will be a peaceful escape she's longed for. What awaits, however, is a dark legacy shrouded in half a century of secrets. and doesn't take long before Eudora realizes she's not the only one to call Highhearth her home. So, yes, what I like about this book, if you can see on the cover, she has 2 Irish wolfhounds, and they're humongous dogs. I think they're beautiful dogs. And I've never read a book. I've read books where there's dogs in them, but these guys are like her companions. Eudora's, I think, 42 years old. She's, well, what you call a spinster. Like, she's never been married. She doesn't have any kids. She lived her whole life in her childhood home. Like, her parents had passed, and she's used to doing things on her own. She likes to stay home and read books, and yeah, this is back. I don't know when this is supposed to be back. Back in the olden days. Back when they didn't have cars. Back where they used candles. You know what I mean? But she lived in a city. In my mind, I'm thinking this is in like London or something. I don't know. But she got this letter out of the blue from her great aunt she only met when she was little, and she has very vague memories of her. And she's given the option to either take over this manor or sell it. And she decides to make the change. It was a hard decision because this is the house she grew up in. But she decides to do this. When she lands there, it's a giant seaside, like, estate kind of thing. And on the back field, there's a fence. Part of it's kind of pushed out. That's right on a cliff. So, yeah, just to give you the scope of it. Now, there was nobody maintaining the estate. After Emmeline, her great aunt, passed away, they didn't maintain it, and it took a while to find the next of kin. So the landscape has all grown up, and the home is all dusty and things like that. But anyway, she decides to, give it a go. And her 2 wolfhounds, they're like her sidekicks the whole time. And that was like what I loved the most about the story. Cerberus and Black Shuck were their names. And yeah, I just love them. Anyways, of course, she starts hearing some things the very first night. And of course, this is a giant place, and you don't have flashlights. You have candles. There's no oil in the oil lamps. And yeah, she thinks that her aunt is haunting the place, and things go from there. So anyways, I'm going to go to bed. When I'm done reading the other 2 books at the very end of all of this, I'll probably do a quick recap and my thoughts on 1, 2, or 3, what ones I like the best or whatever. But anyways, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Just know this is a haunted house story, pretty much, ghost story. And yeah, there was a few twists and turns in here. Nothing that's like mystery or whatever, but I mean, you just read along to find out what's going on. And there's more ghosts than just one, is all I'm saying. So, all right, I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, friends, well, good morning. It's the next day. There's Violet. Violet, say good morning. She's cleaning her paws. It was chilly out there this morning. It was like 5 degrees. So 5 more degrees lower, it'd be 0 degrees out. So it's chilly. Anyways, yeah, I finished that Inheriting Her Ghost last night. Today I need to pick between The Woman in Black and Elizabeth, and I think I'm going to read The Woman in Black. I think so. It's 160 pages. I could probably finish that up today. It's like 8:30 now in the morning. I haven't even had a snort off my coffee yet, but yeah, this one, I think my Mr. Maze is coming downstairs. I'll check back in a bit. Who is it? Who's that? It's you! Yay, Maze! Well, hey friends, I haven't checked in a while, but I finished The Woman in Black, yeah, by Susan Hill. So I forget if I read the back of this. I'm going to read it, and if I did read it earlier, then I'll just cut it out. But Arthur Kipps, a junior solicitor, is summoned to attend a funeral of Miss Alice Drablow, the sole inhabitant of El Marsh House, unaware of the tragic secrets which lies hidden behind the sheltered windows. The house stands at the end of a causeway, wreathed in fog and mystery, but it is not until he glimpses a wasted young woman dressed all in black at a funeral that a creepy sense of unease begins to take hold, and a feeling deepened by the reluctance of the locals to talk of the woman in black and her terrible purpose. So, yes. I started it this morning. It's just after 6 o'clock now, and I'm done, so I just have Elizabeth left to read. But I have to say, I did enjoy this. This isn't like a super scary story, but I'll talk more about this at the end of the video. But I have to say, I loved the description of the Marsh House and the fog and the causeway, and just I could feel the whole essence of the manor house kind of thing. So I'll get more into that, but this was a good, at first it started off not slow, but I was like, oh, it starts off at Christmas time, which I didn't realize. I'm like, I should have read this at Christmas time, but only the first little bit is at Christmas time. And I'm just like, it's cold, and this is in London, and yeah, and then it goes on to, well, what it is at Christmas time, I guess people tell ghost stories at Christmas time, on Christmas Eve and things like that, and one of the ghost stories is kind of this, whether it's an actual ghost story or real events, I don't know, can't tell you that one, but yeah, I'll get more into it, but I'm done this one, so I'm either going to pick up Elizabeth tonight or wait till tomorrow and read that one, and then we'll do a little wrap-up and stuff. So anyways, I'll be back, you guys, and I'll fill you in. All right, friends, well, it's the next morning. I read up until page 65 last night, so just about halfway through this, something like that. And yeah, it's a different story than the other two. Yeah, there's paranormal, like she talks to somebody in a mirror. I forget if I told you what this, it's about a 14-year-old girl, and somebody comes to her through a mirror and speaks to her and gives her guiding advice, which isn't always appropriate. So this is certainly a little more taboo than those other two, for sure. I will get more into it, but basically right off the get, she says that she kills her parents and proceeds to go into say how that happened. So she, what the heck is her name? Well, Elizabeth. Elizabeth goes to live with her grandmother, and her uncle lives at their house, her aunt, and her cousin. And yeah, there's a little inappropriate relationships in there. So yeah, it's not that I don't like the book. It's just not, there is a paranormal element, obviously, but it's not scary at all. It's very, well, this story is written like from the perspective of 14-year-old. So the way that the story is told is very basic in the sense that um, there's attitude in it, like snotty little 14-year-old attitude, boy or girl. If you guys have been around 14-year-old, you know. Um, love them, but they're full of piss and vinegar and attitude. Okay, so she's all kind of snotty, and I am this, and nobody's going to tell me anything, and she refuses to go to school. So they hire a tutor who she has a beef with, but she pretends to get along with everybody, but really she has sinister ideas about everybody in the house, except for one that she thinks that she has the upper hand. But anyways, kind of taboo, inappropriate. So yeah, the grandmother, they live down like by a shipyard, um, my understanding. And so it's like an industrial area. So at night, nobody's around. It's just during the day, there's shipping people, there. But the big house that they share, there's one side of it's like a business, and that's where her grandfather lives. And her grandfather and grandmother have been separated for years and years. They don't even talk, but he's over on one side, she's over on the other. And the grandmother's kind of strange. Like she insists on, everybody eats supper together, but she rarely talks. And if she does, she talks about years past when she was younger and family history, and nobody knows whether it's really true or not. And just strange, just a little strange. So anyways, I plan on finishing this up today. And yeah, I have to say I'm not really caring for anybody in the story, in the sense that I don't know who to root for. They're all little, I don't know, but maybe that's what it's supposed to be. But yeah, there's not many more. Like, I got stuff to do this morning, so I'm probably not going to read much of this morning. But I think this will probably be my least favorite out of the three, to be honest, just because it's not really my style of snot-nosed little teenager things, even though this is an adult book. You know what I mean? Well, hey guys, it's the next day. I did finish that book last night, this one, and I'm going to make a pot of tea after and sit down and talk to you about the 3 books that I did. And right now, you hear that awful racket. I'm canning some tomatoes. Tomato sauce. So that'll be done. And the dishwasher's going, and I'm doing a million things, so I can't have a pot of tea now, but I can stop to talk to you for a second. But anyways, yes, I'm glad I'm done this book. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm glad I read it. It's a 1976 horror novel, so there's that one. I read a vintage one or whatever. But anyways, I'll be back after, and we'll sit down and have a good gab. Alright guys, well, it is the next day again, because I just didn't get a chance to sit down and have a pot of tea with you. Oh, is that better? We got a fire going. Beautiful. I got meatballs in the oven, and I'm having a cup of tea. I just did a video for my other channel, opening some mail, but let me just finish this cup. And you've seen her before. It's just I have drying racks in front of my cupboard where I have all my teacups. So she was still out, so she's out for another dance with you guys.
There's gold up at the top and down at the bottom, and it's the swirly vanilla ice cream kind of shape. She's beautiful. I love these colors. And she has gold down here, gold on the back and on her elbow, and up on her shoulder pad here. So she's fancy, huh? And then this is her skirt or pedestal with gold around the edge, and it's the swirly again. And this is Delphine, made in England. Yeah, I checked just a minute ago, so I remembered. I want to start off with a fresh cuppa. This is apple cinnamon boost something or other. But anyways, I want to talk about these books so I can get this. Oh, I don't know why that's there. Oh, I'm missing a book. What one am I missing? Oh, just a minute. All right, so the 3 books that I read, if you recall, come on, just to make so you can see them all there, so I can get like a picture. Okay, so the 3 books I read, Inheriting Her Ghosts, Elizabeth, and The Woman in Black. All right. So it didn't take me very long to read. Well, this one took a little longer just because it's not very long at all, but just I was so busy during the day I couldn't sit down to read it. But read them one day, and this I could have read in one day. I just didn't have the time to do it. So they're all under 200 pages. They're not very long at all, but they're all pretty different stories. Oh, that was too big of a drink. Too hot. Whew. All right. The first one I read was Inheriting Her Ghosts, and I know I told you a bit about it. This girl inherited her great aunt, and she only ever met her when she was little, so didn't remember her very much. Her great aunt's manor, and this manor is way out in the sticks kind of thing, but it's massive. And yeah, the area where they lived, it was in like England, and the townsfolk, that the town was probably, I forget, like a 2-hour carriage ride from where she lives, but everybody used to think her aunt was like a witch and a devil worshiper and everything like that. So she's kind of been labeled that too. Nobody will help her in the village or anything. If she goes places, they shun her because she's of that last name, and they won't have nothing to do with her and things. This story, God, I can't even remember her name. I remember the dog's name. She has 2 Irish wolfhounds, like I mentioned, the Black Shuck and Cerberus. And anyway, she gets to this place, and it's all furnished. Her aunt sounded almost like a hoarder. Like there's a ton of stuff. It doesn't say exactly, but compared to what she was living in, it seemed like a hoarder's house, and it's filled to the brim. Like every room had something. It was really dusty, like nobody had been there for a very long time. And this is way back when there was no electricity or anything like that, just FYI. She would hear noises, and she believed it was her aunt that's haunting this place. Now, like I said, there's more than one ghost in this story. This story is dealing more with a malicious ghost, whether it's her aunt or not, I'm not going to tell you. But there are other ghosts there in the picture that aren't malicious. Can't really do a whole lot, but they were obviously affected by this malicious ghost as well. And now she, being a single woman, and this lady, Eudora. Yeah, Eudora. That's what her name was. She's like 42, so she's kind of like labeled as a spinster kind of thing. Like she's kind of old in that day, way back then. Would think like she wouldn't get married or anything. But she has her companions who I absolutely adore. That was the highlight. You know, not that I minded her so much. Like I didn't. It's not that I didn't, but the dogs were just the bee's knees to me. I enjoyed this book. I didn't find it scary at all. But it was a nice little ghost story. I found the atmosphere was good. It wasn't fantastic, but it was good. And I got the idea. I really liked the other people in this story too. Eudora would get like flashbacks, kind of in a dream state of family. She felt like ghosts were trying to communicate to her through dreams and visions of how some of the other ghosts came to be living at that manor. And she was determined not to be scared away because she made this ultimate decision to leave where she was at to come take over this country home and live out the rest of her days. So she was determined to try to get to the bottom of who's the bad person or who, you know, what happened here, to find out. And any kind of information she tried to find from townsfolk, she couldn't really get it. But the story goes on from there. And I would recommend it if you just want a simple, easy ghost story that's not too frightening and you like dogs. This would be the one. Like, I don't really have anything bad to say. I'm not personally one that likes short stories. Like, to me, this feels like a short story. All of these books seem like short stories. I don't generally read short stories. I like long books or series. But I'm glad I read this and I enjoyed it. It's good. Not scary, but a nice little spooky read. So that's what I'll say about that one. Susan Hill, on the other hand, I really like this one. I like this one more than this one, even though I did like that one. The atmosphere in this was fantastic. Like, the atmosphere in this was good. This was great. Okay. This starts off at Christmas time, and the man, he's at home with his family. It first starts off when he's young, and he's old, but he's retelling, or you're seeing when he was young to get to where he is now. And it's Christmas Eve at his house. He never thought he'd have a house out in the country, but he fell in love with this house. Let me take my meatballs out of the oven just a minute. Yes, he fell in love with this house and fell in love and got married. He never had any children of his own at the time. But she did. She had 4 children, I think, 2 boys and 2 girls. And you get a little flavor of, you know, the different personalities. Not much, because it's not a very long book. So you only get like a glimpse. Anyways, they're around the fire telling ghost stories, which I guess is apparently a tradition, which sounds cool to me. And then they're all, oh, come on, stepfather. This is an older book, so they speak a little different. Come on, stepfather. Please tell us a ghost story. You must have some, like he's an older man now. And he has anxiety, pretty much is what he has. He has, like, anxiety, and he's like, no, I can't. And then he goes out in the back of the house and has to take a breath because he has a ghost story to tell, but he wasn't prepared to tell it because it's an actual ghost story. Or you think it is. Like, you don't know. You don't ever really 100% truly find out, I don't think. But anyways, then it goes into his past and why he's so freaked out. It's when he's younger. He's a lawyer. He's a solicitor. And he's not like a bigwig, but he's working his way up. The bigwig asked him to go settle this woman's estate. I forget what her name is, but it's up across the field. When I say that, it's a long ways away. He's got to take a couple trains, and it's cold. It's loud. It's crowded, kind of. The further he gets out, the train gets less crowded and less crowded until he's the only one on the train. And it's nighttime. And just the atmosphere, I could totally see everything in this book everything in this book. I could see it. At first I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't, I didn't know. All I knew about this book was like, oh, this man, he goes to this house and he sees this woman in black. That's pretty much all I knew. I really didn't know, even though it's like a classic kind of book. But I could see it, I could hear it, I could feel it. And the man in this, honestly, I think he's kind of dinky in the sense he makes kind of bad decisions, but maybe that's what people did way back when, like just don't. But it didn't deter me from liking this story. So he gets to this manor, and when he gets to the far off town, nobody seems to want to go there except for one person that had been arranged, and it's like on a horse and a donkey, I think, in a carriage. So, and it's a long ways out, and it's on a marsh, a foggy marsh, and it's a long driveway on this giant stretch of marsh that's not near anybody. So this massive house is in the middle of this marsh that's foggy and grassy, and you got to stay on this road because if you get off, it's like quicksand, and people die there, and people have died there. And when people die mysterious things, obviously there's going to be, not potentially, if you're reading a ghost story, recognize that there might be some things going on. So he decides to go and stay at this manor because he thought it was ludicrous to have to travel back and forth a couple hours every day on horse and carriage when he can just go to this manor, just stay there for a couple days, get his job done, and go back home to his loving wife and family. So he gets there, and it's big and cold, and again, he sees some like haunting things, and it's terrifying. So he tries to run at first, and that guy with the cart was supposed to come back at the end of the day to get him, but he was like, I'm not waiting around here. And he ends up almost getting lost because of the fog and stuff. Fast forward a bit, he ends up having a companion with him. And by companion, I mean a little dog, somebody from the town. I didn't realize I like companion dogs and books so much. Like I've never really read books that have a companion dog, and I love it because Violet and everything. But so he decides to go back and give it another go, and there's more haunting stuff. It's the kind of old estate. There's even an old cemetery on the marshlands that, like it's just, people don't do that anymore. I don't know if they do, but you can't just have your own personal graveyard, which I think would be pretty neat if you could, but I don't know how you'd go about doing that. But anyways, the ghosts in this book aren't so much malicious as the ghosts in this book. This book is like the physical try to kill you kind of ghosts. This book, the ghosts are like grieving, sorrow, lonely, heartache, revenge, but not in the kind of, I'm not going to throw you across the room kind of thing. This book more has to do with sorrow, not so much his sorrow, but he's seeing the sorrow that perhaps the woman in black is seeing, and her whole tragic story he has the opportunity to learn about because he has to go through every single paper of this woman's house that he had to go and sort out since she passed away. So he comes across letters and things like that. I found it was really good. I don't want to say there's more to it. There's certainly more to it, but I just want to give you a sense. I really enjoyed this book. I wish I had read it in like late November, December, because it's more of a winter. It wasn't like snow, but I don't think people in England get a lot of snow. Do you get a lot of snow? I don't know. Sometimes, but not like snow here or anything like that. But it's cold, it's foggy, and yeah, Christmas time. So anyways, that one. But this one, not the biggest fan of this one. It's a different style. It's not a ghost story at all. This little 14-year-old, like I said, right off the bat, said she killed her parents, proceeds to say how it happened. And she didn't physically kill her parents, but an ancestor of hers contacts her through a mirror, and things proceed to happen. The style of writing with this is not my favorite at all. Like, it was just so basic. The language, I mean, it was just, everything was so abrupt, so plain. Nothing seemed to be elaborated on. I don't know how else to explain it. It was just so, it was not an in-depth story. Like this, for being such a small story, this could have been a super long novel and I would have loved it probably. This one probably could have been longer, but I didn't mind it for the size that it was, because it wasn't all that, it wasn't edge of your seat kind of thing, even though I think that's kind of what the intention was. This is a more atmospherical, if that's a word. This one is more, but this was made in 1976, so the shocking thing, people die in this, and like family die in this, and it's like nobody grieves at all. Nobody seems to care at all. They just move on, and there's a lot of taboo relationships in here. Incest in this. Incest, and nobody, it's not addressed at all. Like, it's like an everyday thing, and although it's a hidden relationship, people know. There's a lot of stuff. The image in a mirror for 14-year-old Elizabeth Cutter is that of a fae, a long dead Frances, who introduces Elizabeth to her chilling world of supernatural. Through Frances, Elizabeth learns what it is to wield power of a kind that is malevolent, God, and seemingly invincible, power that begins with killing of her parents. Yeah, so like I had mentioned earlier in this video, Elizabeth is a brat. I don't care for her. I don't care for the person that she seemed to finagle with. I don't care for her aunt, her nephew, not really. Like, yeah, Frances, the one through the mirror, is a long since ancestor that apparently was burned at the stake for being a witch, and I didn't really care for this. There was no investment in me. It's almost like I had to trudge through this. I'm just like, oh, this is just, it couldn't be more simple in regards to zero explanation of things, the zero character building, zero anything. I didn't really care for this. Didn't care for this. So basically she kills her parents, or orchestrates how to do it through a frog, honestly. And she has this relationship with Frances through her mirror. She refuses to go to school. She lives with her grandmother and her uncle and her aunt and her cousin. They end up getting a tutor who is actually a relative, a distant relative. And the tutor kind of knows about the supernatural stuff. She is against it. And she kind of puts a block on Elizabeth. I don't mind telling you this because it's just like, puts a block on Elizabeth so she can't talk to Frances. And Elizabeth has a temper tantrum and works things out, and just her internal dialogue, Elizabeth's internal dialogue, I'm just like, she sounds like a teenager. She says it right out, like, I'm not a child anymore, I'm an adult. And I'm just like, I know 14-year-olds are like that, but I mean, nobody seems to reprimand her for acting this way. So she's going to grow up to be a complete narcissist. And, you know, you're friggin' 14 years old. You're not a woman. Stop trying to be a woman. Stop. Just stop. Just stop. So anyways, it just kind of, yeah, a strange book. Not scary at all. It was more of like an annoying book to me this was an annoying book to me. The blurbs on the back: a whirlwind of horror, library journal, an elegant study of the world in which evil is total and totally triumphant. Sunday Times, London, an unsettling piece of work. New York Times. Well, it's unsettling in the sense that little brat needed to be in timeout, to say the least. The taboo relationships, yeah, that's kind of like, I'm glad some people died in this book, because you sick son of a gun, you know. But then she's a sick little 14-year-old that needed rearing, and nobody did it. So, you know, she almost can't help to be the way she is because nobody told her the difference. Just everybody needed a good crack upside the head in this book. So that's all I'll say about that. So if I was to rank them, number 1, number 2, number 3. So I'm glad I read them. And Susan Hill's I probably would read again sometime when, you know, years down the road when I want a good December quick ghost story. That would be a good one for me. Inheriting Her Ghost, maybe I'd read it again, but, you know, it's not bad. It's just, if I want a good dog ghost story, that would be a good one. Elizabeth, I'll probably never read again. No, but at least now I know. Now I know. So I'm going to end this video now because I got sweet and sour sauce to make, pot of rice to make, and some things to do. But I did just start a new book and digging it. But I'll talk about that another day. So anyways, I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love ya. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So all right, guys. Well, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning. And I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Bloop.